I heard it first on the 12 o'clock news yesterday, on our very own IBC Radio 1, Icelandic Broadcasting Corporation's main channel, which I usually tune into in the car. However, on this occasion, I wasn't really paying too much attention to the news, as I was driving in heavy traffic through an autumn downpour on the N1 motorway in southern Iceland, somewhere near the town of Hella. I then stopped at Coleswell, the next town, to recharge my e-truck, a long-haul vehicle, and grab a bite and a cup of coffee. As I mentioned, I wasn't really paying too much attention, and even less so to that particular piece of news. I mean, come on, there are old ladies popping their clogs every day. I called my wife last night from the motel I was staying at in Kirkjubeklostr, as I usually do when I'm on the road. She's a happy-go-lucky person, so I was surprised that she sounded downcast, if not quite sad. When I inquired if something was the matter, she mentioned the piece of news about that old lady's death, and added that she knew her. She hadn't told me that before, but I wasn't too surprised, actually. Here in Iceland, practically everyone knows everybody. Although the country has around 1 million inhabitants, we are still a small society where almost everyone is related or acquainted. You know, she was one of a kind, so to speak, and we at the University of Iceland were studying her speech, I mean. You were? Oh. But don't take it to heart, love. I mean, there are old folks passing away every day, I said without understanding the reason for her being so upset. Yes, I know, darling, responded my wife, but she was really one of a kind. My colleagues and I at the university are studying the interesting linguistic evolution which has been taking place in this country for the last 3 generations or so, and its implications in the way we Icelanders speak nowadays. I thought I'd mentioned it to you. We at the Faculty of Anglo-Icelandic Studies do our bit, as well as our fellow scholars at the Faculty of Icelandic and Old Norse. And precisely in the last few months, we had achieved a very interesting step forward, thanks to having stumbled upon that old lady living alone on a remote farm in the Westfjords. You do remember I flew to Ísfjord this summer, don't you? Oh, yes, of course, I answered, without really recalling the purpose of that trip, I have to admit. It's just that our lines of work are really worlds apart, and sometimes our lives too. And thank God we were fortunate enough to get lots of videos of her talking and telling wonderful stories, my wife added. I just felt really sorry to hear she had died, both because I'd made her acquaintance and not least because she was the last Icelandic-speaking person on this island of ours, and thus the very last one in the world. The day before yesterday, not only did that old lady pass away, but the Icelandic tongue too. You know, said bless for the last time, went mute, gave up the ghost, died, and that's sad. Well, if you say so, darling, but then again, you've always been so sentimental. Does it really matter if both of them kick the bucket, that old lady and that old lingo? I mean, so what? The fact is that nobody understood it anymore, except maybe God Almighty and you eccentrics at the university.